Hey y'all, I'm Robin. Welcome to a new reading vlog. So I am actually filming this after completing this entire reading vlog. I was editing these clips and I realized that I never actually filmed an introduction. Editing Robin here from the future to talk about the 3 books that I am going to be reading in this vlog. So this is part of my 22 books to read in 2022 series, but I am also sprinkling in some of my 5-star predictions in here as well. Originally, I was going to do those as 2 separate videos, but it's not happening, so we're combining them together. But the 3 books that I am going to read are Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker. This is K.A. Tucker's first adult fantasy romance. In this book, we are following our heroine who lives in the real world, and one day she meets this woman, Sophie, who tells her that she needs her help stealing something, and our heroine is a thief. And when she meets Sophie, Sophie sends her to this fantasy world. And in the fantasy world, she wakes up as a princess, but this princess has just murdered the entire royal family except for the 2 children, the now king. And she ends up rescuing the sister, the princess of the kingdom. And things kind of unfold from there. And there is a wonderful slow burn romance in here. You can watch me talk more about this book in the rest of the vlog and figure out how I liked it. The second book I'm going to read is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a female-female romance. Ashley Herring Blake writes a lot of queer stories and a lot of age ranges, and I believe this is her first adult book. And this one follows Delilah Green, who's a photographer, and she left her small town at 18 and she fled to New York, and there she is trying to make it as a photographer, but she ends up going back to her small town when her stepsister is getting married, and she agreed to photograph their wedding because there is a big paycheck involved with it, and she's kind of struggling in New York financially, and so she goes back to this small town where she grew up, and she's kind of forced to face a lot of her past. And there she meets someone from her past that she considered a mean girl. Her name is Claire, and Claire is a single mother, and she is going through her own stuff right now, and the 2 of them have a romance. And I have given everything that Ashley Herring Blake has written 5 stars, so will I give this one 5 stars? I know, but you don't. So you'll have to watch the rest of the video. And then the final book that I'm going to read is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, and this is the follow-up to It Happened One Summer. In this, we are following Hannah, who is the sister of the heroine from book 1, and Fox, who is the best friend of the hero from book 1. And in this, Hannah returns to Westport, which is like the small fishing town, because she has convinced her boss that they should shoot their new movie in the small fishing town. And Hannah is trying to kind of become she refers to it as the leading lady in her life, and she really wants to take the next step in her career and her life. And Fox is struggling with the fact that his whole life he is kind of seen as just one thing. He's only seen for his looks and his appearance, and he's always been considered this womanizer, is just kind of stuck in that persona, and he agrees to let Hannah stay with him, and sparks fly. I gave book 1 5 stars, and this was a 5-star prediction as well as one of my most anticipated reads of the entire year. So without further ado, let's get into me reading all of these books. Just remember the flame. Hey y'all. So ignore the state of my appearance. I could not be bothered to put makeup on today, and I just got back from walking the dog, so I'm a little wind blown, but I wanted to do a quick check-in because I am about to do sprints over on Becca's channel. So I am like 20% into A Fate of Wrath and Flame, and I am so confused. Not in like a bad way, but we are following our heroine who knows nothing about this magical world, and it is very disorienting. Disorienting? Is that the right word? So she knows nothing about this magical world, and so we as the reader know nothing. She meets this character, Sophie, right at the beginning of the book. It's like the first scene, and Sophie starts telling her very, very vague things about magic, or like hinting at magic. And she's like, I need your help finding this stone or rock or something like that. She needs help finding this item. And she's like, you have to give up your human body, and then stabs her. And Sophie wakes up somewhere else. I am really liking it, but it is, like I said, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know what is real. I don't know where it's going. We don't understand the magic world or the magic at all. So like I'm super intrigued because like I need to know what is going on, and like who our main character is, and like who these people are, and like understand. It is a little strange at first because I'm just like, what is happening? Like, there is nothing to really ground the reader in because all you have is questions. But it also makes it very, I hesitate to say relatable because it's like an epic fantasy, but the character is so confused that it kind of like puts you in her shoes because she has no idea what's happening. And so you kind of feel like you're on this journey with the main character and like trying to figure out what's going on. So it adds this like layer of tension and like anxiety to it because she is in this like deadly situation and has no idea what's happening. And so it really heightens that like emotional factor, which I do enjoy. I'm really liking this. I'm listening to it on audio and I'm really liking the narrator, but I apparently have some very uncommon opinions about audiobooks. Take that with a grain of salt. I never ended up sharing the vlog where I read Electric Idol, but I ranted in that video that I never shared about how much I hated the narrator. And every review I've seen come in is like, the narrators are so great. I love the narrators. And I'm just like, clearly I have unpopular opinions. So I'm enjoying the narration for this. It's really long. It's like 20 hours or something like that. So I'm really glad that I have the audiobook for this since I have to read the other books in this vlog physically. Wow, I'm struggling to talk. But yeah, I'm hoping to get a bunch of reading done this afternoon because tonight my husband and I are getting our taxes done. Yay, adulthood. So that's gonna take up quite a bit of our evening. Yeah, I'm going to sit here and read. I just took the dog for a walk and I listened to another 2 chapters. Now that like I'm getting off of my meds and stuff like that, I'm trying to like start moving. Trying to move my body again. So I'm trying to go for a walk a couple times a week. I would go for a walk more often, but it's really, really cold here. So like today it was like 38 outside. I think with the wind chill it was like 26 or something like that. But like I think it's next week we're dropping down into like the teens and like single digits. And like I'm not gonna walk the dog when it's 2 degrees outside. Like it's not gonna happen. Becca is doing a sprint for Faro Feb in like 45 minutes. I'm gonna drink my smoothie. I am going to try and check back in every 10 to 20%. So I am gonna enjoy my lunch, maybe watch a YouTube video, and then I will check back in with you throughout the sprints. All right, super quick update. I am now like 30% into excuse you. I'm now 30% into A Fate of Wrath and Flame, and I am still super confused. We're starting to get some world building in here, but I don't understand any of it. So like we've learned about like the heroine's mother and father and like the name of her country, and we've learned that some people might be elves and some might be casters, which I'm guessing is like witches, but we don't know what that means. So like the character's like, wow, what does that mean? Like, what do they look like? Everyone looks human. And so we don't know what it means to be an elf or a caster or anything like that. We've met somebody who can heal. We've met a demon. And we know that our heroine is something, or at least, like, we don't know if she's herself right now or if she's has inhabited another body. We don't understand any of that, but she seems to not be human. because she survived this demon attack. But like, I'm so confused. I have a feeling like it would be so much worse if I were reading this physically. But since I'm listening to it on audiobook, I can just kind of like power through. I'm hoping we start getting some answers because right now I have so many questions and no answers. And that's really hard for me sometimes in fantasy. Like I need something to hold on to. And I feel like right now I have nothing. I have nothing to go on. I'm gonna read another 10% or so. We're in the middle of a sprint right now, so I'm going to get back to reading. Okay, I feel like my hair is different in every single one of these clips. I still look absolute disaster. I'm now 40% in and we are finally getting some answers, thank goodness. The heroine has finally, again, I don't know what the synopsis is, so if you don't want to know anything, you might want to skip this update, but I'm still in the first half and this is a really long book. The heroine wakes up in this like fantasy world and she doesn't know what anything else. And so has finally convinced everyone that like she has no memories of them or this world or like what she did. Now they are finally starting to like give her some information. So we are learning about this world and like the magical creatures and stuff like that. So I thought this, for whatever reason, again, I never read the synopsis, so this is all on me, but for some reason I thought this was a vampire story.
Oh, sweet summer child, just wait.
It's not vampires, it's like elves. So we are now learning about like what an elf is, and in this universe, there are elves and casters who are essentially witches, and they have an affinity to like an element. The king, who is her betrothed or ex-betrothed, however you want to look at it, he has an affinity for fire, and the heroine, the body that she wakes up in, has an affinity to water. Then you can have elementals who have an affinity for more than one element. So we are kind of like now learning what that means and like what those powers are, and that there is like this war going on between these two big kingdoms. There's something called a Great Rift, which is totally giving me, and is totally reminding me of Shadow and Bone. But yeah, so we're finally like learning some stuff about the world and that. Like it's taken quite a bit and we don't have a ton of answers, but I at least now feel like there is like some understanding. There's something to hold on to as we are slowly learning things. There's still a lot of questions because I still don't understand, and you're not supposed to understand. So like how the beginning portion connects to where we are now. Like we don't know how our heroine got from point A to point B, and we don't know how the people at point A are connected to this. There's still a lot of questions, but at least now we're getting some answers about the world. So if you do pick this up, just know that it takes until about the 40% mark before you really are told anything about this world. And we are getting like little hints at the romance. The hero in here is now the king. So at the beginning of this, the king and queen, his parents are killed, and this happens right at the beginning. I'm just gonna tell you, this is like in the opening chapter. She killed the king and queen. There's no understanding of like, did she actually do it? Or is she now inhabiting this person's body? You don't really know any of that. But everyone thinks that she killed the king and queen. And she was betrothed to the prince, who is now king. And so he feels very betrayed by her, obviously. And now they are kind of pretending that they are still betrothed so that like the kingdom isn't in like total disarray. They don't want her parents' kingdom to attack them. And so we are just starting to get like little glimpses of their romance, because obviously they hate each other. He's holding her captive. She killed his parents. So like this is like, they do not like each other. They clearly are attracted to each other, and they have this like really good banter because he's like, you lied to me for so long. Like I want you to act like yourself. And so she is like throwing knives as they talk, and it's just, I really, really like it. I'm enjoying that aspect a lot, and there's a lot of things that I really like about this. Like I said, it's hard going into a fantasy book where you're not told anything about the fantasy elements. So, all right, I think that's gonna be it for this update. I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna have another update today because I have to leave for her tax appointment in like an hour. So I am going to fix this since I have to go out in public, keep listening to my audiobook, and I will probably be checking back in with you tomorrow. Hello. It is the next morning and I am getting ready for work. Sorry if I sound weird. I am kind of congested today. I after our tax appointment yesterday, we just grabbed some food and I think there was dairy in like the bun that I had for my sandwich because I'm like sneezing today and I'm feeling congested. Fun fact, I'm allergic to dairy. So I am now like 62% into A Fate of Wrath and Flame and I'm obsessed now. It took me a little while to like get my bearings in this world because like I said at the beginning of this book, you don't know anything about this fantasy world because the heroine doesn't. And I kind of like that choice in here because the stakes are really high when the heroine gets to this fantasy world. And it just kind of added this like sense of anxiety to it. I think a lot of people are gonna dislike that because it does take a little while for you to figure out like what is happening and who these people are. And I think I could see a lot of people like DNFing it because of that, because they're like, what's happening? I'm confused. But it really adds, like I said, this sense of like disorientation so that you feel like you're kind of on this journey with the heroine. And I like that choice. And I am gonna make a really bold statement here. So prepare yourselves. This is better than From Blood and Ash. There are some similarities to the two series. I'm not going to get into it because if you haven't read From Blood and Ash and if you haven't read this yet, those things are spoilery. The similarities are kind of like a fantasy trope. So you in this are following this heroine who doesn't have a lot of agency in this world, and that is a common thing in fantasy romance. And there is a love interest and you assume that he is either a good or bad guy. I'm not going to tell you which. And that is flipped on its head, which is really common in fantasy romance. So I know like a lot of people were saying like King of Battle and Blood was a ripoff of From Blood and Ash. And I'm like, well, those are just really common fantasy tropes. This kind of plays into that same sort of trope. And so it's hitting a lot of like familiar beats. But I just feel like this does such a better job of getting rid of all of that unnecessary stuff that From Blood and Ash has. In Fate of Wrath and Flame, you're not like sitting in a room for pages upon pages upon pages of them world building. It is more these little moments that are simultaneously building the relationships. As people are like starting to trust her and as she's starting to trust them, they're starting to share little bits of information. And so that is how the world building is happening, is she is getting to know these characters and there's trust being built and they're getting to know each other. And through those connections, there is world building happening. They're telling her about who they are and what their magic is and what the political happenings are. And it's done so well. Like I said, that it's not just them sitting in a room and him being like, here is the world. Here are all the people. He's answering her questions in a very realistic way that is building the relationship as well. And so they don't feel pointless and like they don't slow down the pace because those moments are kind of like charged. And I'm really liking it. I love the direction that this book is going. And this is one of those books to where you have no idea how this is going to work out. Because like this heroine is stuck in this fantasy world. The stakes feel real and high because it's like, how is she going to get out of this? And like she's kind of backed into all these corners because she's starting to question like, who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? These people, these mysterious people tasked me with this job, but like, do I really want to do that? But like, if I don't do that, what are the consequences? And so like you're getting to this point where it's like how do you get out of this? So I really like that. Yeah, I like everything. I like the hero, the love interest, because they begrudgingly starting to become allies. And I like the pacing. It's so good. So good. I was nervous at the beginning because I was like, I don't understand what's happening. This happens in all fantasies, but like, is it going to turn itself around? And it turned itself around, and I'm obsessed. Anyways, that is my long rambly update. I'm loving this book. I'm gonna try and finish it today, actually, because I need to know what's happening. And I think book 2 comes out in like May-ish, and I'm gonna have to read it right away because I'm obsessed. I will check back in with you a little bit later today, hopefully. I still need to film the intro to this video as well, but I have the world's most massive pimple underneath this pimple patch, and I have another one down here because the world hates me. I actually assume this one's because of the dairy in my sandwich last night, so, and maybe this one too. Love that for me. Maybe I'll film the intro to this video. I have a work meeting in a little bit. We're gonna try to finish a book today, and then we can move on to our next book. So I'll talk to you a little bit later.
I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea. I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal.
Hello. I just broke my tripod again. I feel like I've gone through so many tripods. So hopefully this stays and doesn't fall over. I wanted to give you a quick update because last night I finished a Fate of Wrath and Flame, and I gave this 5 stars. I was so addicted to this book. I could not put it down. When I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about this book, and like I just absolutely sped through the last like 3/4 of this book. I'm just in love with the series. I will say, so I'm in the Discord for Bree's membership, and everyone else is hating the audiobook. I thought it was fine. I do listen at like 2.5 times speed, so do with that information as you will, but like everyone else is hating the audiobook. Listen to this at your own risk. But I absolutely loved this. I loved the direction it took. I loved how it ended up working out to the miscommunication aspects, because everyone's kind of keeping secrets. And I was a little nervous about how that was all going to play out, but I ended up really, really liking it. And yeah, I loved the direction this went. It hits a lot of really popular paranormal romance beats, but I liked the way that it was written. I liked the style choices that was made. I talked about this in some previous clips, but you know nothing about the magic and the world and the characters at the beginning of this, because the heroine is just kind of like thrust into this world and you are figuring it all out with her. And I just really liked that style choice because it added this like layer of tension and stuff to it. I was talking about this with somebody else, but one of my complaints with the From Blood and Ash series is that none of the aspects are interweaved. So when there is like character and relationship development and then plot development and world development, those things aren't like interweaved. There is sections of, okay, we are going to develop the romance, and this is just romance. And then we're going to have the characters sit down and explain the world. And then we're going to have plot elements, and then we're going to sit down again and explain the world. And then there'll be a relationship. And so like, I hate that because it makes it feel so long. And then those parts where we're sitting down and just world building are so slow. And one of the things that I really loved in Fate of Wrath and Flame is that when the characters are sitting down and like speaking to each other and there is world development happening, there's also like character development and relationship development and all of that. And those things are nicely blended together. So as our heroine is learning things from the love interest, they are sharing these things about themselves. And while you're learning about the world and while she's learning about the magic and stuff, they are also developing their connection. And so it just felt so much more organic and didn't slow down the pace, because while you were learning about the world, you were also like getting to know characters and learning about some political intrigue stuff. And so like it didn't feel like the story came to an abrupt halt and now we're world building. It felt more interweaved into the story. So I really loved this. I have a feeling that a lot of people in the Discord are not gonna like it. I think I'm gonna be the unpopular 5-star opinion, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. I really liked this. I really recommend it if you are a fantasy paranormal reader. If you are like new to fantasy romance, I don't know if I would suggest starting with this one, just because you are just kind of like thrown into the story without any information. It doesn't really like guide you along very well. So let's get on to book number 2. So I actually started book number 2 last night because I ended up finishing my audiobook for Fate of Wrath and Flame at like 6:30 or something like that. So ended up starting Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Harry and Blake, and I'm like 20% into this. It's not very long, and I'm kind of obsessed. I happened to see a couple of reviews when I was updating my Goodreads for this, and it seems like a lot of people really, really love this. I've seen amazing reviews for it, but the people that don't like it because the characters are unlikable. Just a heads up about that. And I kind of agree with that sentiment that the characters are unlikable, but it's more that they're just like really flawed. These characters are in their like late 20s and they're both like hot messes. And I personally love it because it just feels very realistic to life. Like, yeah, they're 28 or whatever, but what kind of 28-year-old has it all together, you know? But I'm really liking this. Our heroine, Delilah, is really struggling. She wants to become this photographer, but while she's gotten like a lot of like good gigs and things like that, she really wants to like hit it big, and she's not willing to like conform to what the studios and stuff are looking for. So she keeps doing her own art, and everyone keeps saying that it's like too niche because she really wants to do like queer feminist photography. And they're like, well, that's not like mass appealing or whatever. But she wants to do what she believes in. So she's kind of struggling financially, and her stepmother gives her the opportunity, but tells her that she wants her to come back and photograph her stepsister's wedding. And she kind of dangles a big paycheck over her, and Delilah really needs money. But she has terrible, terrible memories about her childhood and growing up with her stepmother and stepsister, because she was just kind of the oddball. She was artistic and quiet, and she was grieving the loss of her parents, and she was just going through a lot, and no one really knew how to handle her. So she has terrible memories of this small town. And there, on the first night, she ends up meeting one of her stepsister's best friends, who was one of like the mean girls that didn't really... Delilah remembers them as the mean girls because they didn't like invite her into their friend group. But this is dual perspective. So you're seeing things from the other heroine, Claire's point of view as well. And you're realizing that both of them kind of have skewed memories of their childhood, and they both see it very, very differently. And so Claire is also going through a lot. She had a child very, very young, and the man that she had the child with is kind of like a flake. And so he will like come back into her life and then disappear, and like she will ask him to like show up at a certain time, and he's always late. And so he's really, really unreliable. And he's kind of been gone for a long period of time, but he has recently moved back to the small town, and he wants to be back in his daughter's life. It is already kind of causing some problems because he's not like following the rules that Claire has, you know, set up for their daughter, and he's not bringing her to places on time and all of those things. And so she doesn't trust him, and it's really stressing her out. And her daughter is now entering into her teenage years, so her daughter is also like more dramatic and intense and hormonal and like very angsty. And so she's going through all of this, all the while dealing with her best friend's wedding. And it turns out that no one likes the stepsister's fiance. And so there's all these layers of like drama, and Claire and Delilah have this, when meet for that first time, Claire doesn't recognize Delilah because she remembers her as this like really awkward, quiet teenager, and now Delilah is this like, she's kind of like grown into herself. And so the two of them see each other and they kind of have like this moment together. And now we're going through like all of the wedding events. And I'm really excited. I love their chemistry. I love their dynamic. I really like both of the characters. Like I said, they're kind of hot messes, but I wouldn't say that either of them is unlikable yet. They have a lot of flaws. Like Delilah, she likes to push everyone's buttons because she feels wronged. Like you like I said, you get the other side, so you know that that's not exactly how the situation went. She wasn't hated. Just nobody knew. She was so withdrawn that no one knew like how to pull her out of it. And so she sees everyone as wronging her, so she likes to push their buttons, especially like her stepsister. Her and her stepsister have this kind of like odd relationship. I feel like I've been talking forever about this book, but I have never given Ashley Herring Blake anything other than 5 stars. So I'm hoping that trend continues. Today I have an interview in like 45 minutes. Like I'm conducting an interview, not I am interviewing. My department at work is expanding quite a bit. And so we're bringing on a bunch of new people. We're bringing on some like trainees, apprentices. But we're also we just brought in a new faculty member and we're hoping to bring in another junior faculty member. So lots of interviews and stuff and like onboarding and trainings and stuff like that, which is going to interfere with House of Sky and Breath next week. And I'm not happy about it, but I do have off on Tuesday. So hooray for me. I'm going to try and get some reading done this afternoon after my interview. It's Friday today, so I don't really have a ton going on today. So I'm going to finish up the interview and probably log off of work early because I just don't feel like doing it today. Need to still film the intro for this clip, but I have been breaking out so terribly. These are like covered in makeup. I have like one here, and here, and I was just like layering on concealer because I was like, I need to film some vlog clips today and I cannot be looking like a 16-year-old going through puberty, but this is my life. So I am going to make myself a smoothie for lunch so that I can get that done before the interview, and then I will check back in with you when I start reading. Hello. So it is a Saturday morning. I just got back from teaching yoga, but I wanted to give you an update because last night I finished Delilah the Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, and I'm giving this one 5 stars. I loved this book. Ashley Herring Blake does not miss. This was so good. I think this one is going to be a bit of a hit or miss once it's released because the main characters are not the most likable. I really liked how flawed they were. I liked the messages in here and the themes and things like there were so many good things that happened in here, side plots and the main plot, and like just I loved the sense of like finding a community and finding family. This is very found family-esque because our heroine Delilah doesn't have any immediate family anymore. She lost her mother very young and her father died when she was about 10. And so she has a stepmother and a stepsister, but she's never really felt any sort of like familial close connection. And so this is very finding your home, your family. And I loved everything about it. I loved the romance. Like I said, I loved that like found family aspect. I loved all of the like queer characters and the theme about kind of like finding your place, and it was so good. It was so good. This book explores miscommunication quite a bit. So it's not like your standard like romance miscommunication, but in this the two stepsisters have kind of spent their whole lives thinking of their childhood in a very specific way, and those views are very different. And when they come back together in this book, they're kind of forced to confront their misconceptions about each other and how they viewed their childhood, realizing they each saw it through a very different lens. And It was so good. I loved everything about it. I'm so excited for the other two friends to get their book. I believe the stepsister Astrid's book is next, but I am most excited for Iris's story because I want to know if it's going to be like a second chance romance or like a relationship in distress, or if she's going to get a new love interest. I don't know, but I'm really excited for all the books in this world. But yeah, I'm really excited that Ashley Herring Blake is writing more romances because this was so good. Loved it. So we are on to our final book. So the final book for this vlog is going to be Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, and I did start this last night. I think I'm 3 chapters in, so I did not get very far, but when I tell you that I'm ready to give this book a 5-star rating after the prologue, not kidding. This is so good. So good. The prologue opens up with like a bunch of text threads between our heroine Hannah and the hero Fox. And so Hannah is the sister of the heroine from book 1 and Fox is the best friend of the hero. Hannah is super into music and she is kind of working in film and she really wants to be like the music director, but right now she's just kind of an assistant. Oh my god, I have this like little hair sticking straight up. We're just gonna ignore that. And she has been harboring a crush on the director for a very long time, but she's kind of like in the background and she sees herself as being like a side character in her life. She doesn't see herself as like a leading lady or whatever. And it opens up with a text thread between her and Fox as they are kind of like getting to know each other and becoming friends. And oh my god, just those texts stole my heart. Oh my god, they are just, I love them so much. And at the beginning of this, so once we get past the prologue, the director that Hannah is kind of crushing on, he wants to move the film that they are directing to a new location. And she has really wanted to go back and visit her sister and everything like that. She said like she's really missing being in this like little fishing town and she doesn't feel like she really is belonging in LA anymore. So she suggests the town so that she can go and visit her sister. They end up sending her to go like scout the location and like get everything set up and they're gonna film there. So she calls her sister and says, hey, like I'm coming up, and her sister says, I would love for you to stay with us, but like her fiance, his parents are coming and staying in the guest bedroom already, so Hannah needs a place to stay and they suggest that she stay with Fox. So it is going to be a forced proximity friends to lovers romance, and I'm so excited. I love the writing in here. It's so swoony and like sweet and fun, and I'm so excited. I love Fox so much, and I can't wait. I love their dynamic. So I just started this, like I said, I think I got to chapter 4, but I am getting ready to take some photos because it is actually sunny today, which is a crazy concept here during winter, but I'm gonna take some photos and then I am just gonna sit down and binge the rest of this book because I, 1, want to finish it because I'm already loving it, and 2, I'd really like to get this vlog wrapped up today so that I can edit and get it posted on Monday, and then I'm gonna spend Tuesday filming. So that's kind of the plan, is to hopefully get this video up Monday, but that means I have to get it done today so that I can edit it tomorrow because it's been taking me forever to edit. And then a lot of times I like to film and then not edit it and then just sits on my computer forever. So, and yeah, do some things around the house and then we are gonna binge the rest of this book. I don't have my tripod or my microphone or anything, but I'm 25% into Hook, Line, and Sinker. God, I'm so obsessed. I'm so obsessed. I have to keep pausing to swoon because I love them. I love them so much. I should film my live reactions because I keep making like really funny faces, I'm sure, because everything they do is just so cute. So cute. Both of them are kind of like fighting their attraction for each other, and Hannah finally was like, okay, like I need to dress for the job that I want. So she asks Piper to dress her up for this party. And then Fox shows up and they have a moment in front of everyone. And I'm ready to explode. I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna explode. Just this is gonna be a favorite of the year for sure. So I'm gonna go back to reading and try not to squeal anymore. Wish me luck. Hello. I am here to wrap up this vlog, and this is hands down my most successful vlog ever. In fact, this series is unbelievably successful. I just finished Hook, Line, and Sinker. This is also 5 stars. I don't even know who I am anymore giving out this many 5 stars, but oh my god, this book just like burrowed its way into my heart. I love these two so much. Oh my god, this book gets really difficult to read at certain points because the hero is really degraded by everyone around him. He is kind of known for being this big player and like womanizer, and I don't want to say he was like groomed, but essentially like growing up, everyone sexualized him, and because of that, he kind of like grew up thinking like that was his only worth, was his attractiveness, and like he saw his self-worth only being as like how many women he could get, because that was how people treated him growing up. And so he is really demeaned and sexualized, and it was so hard to read at times, like the negative way that people refer to him and talk to him and things like that. And it was heartbreaking in all honesty. So big content warning for that. And then loss of parents, because both of them have lost parents. Their relationship was so good. Not only they're like, because their chemistry was amazing, like jumping off the page, but their like emotional connection was also so good, because this is a friends to lovers romance. Like they have this amazing connection, and I loved that exploration. I loved the just all of the messages and themes in here. The romance was so good, and the epilogue got me. I was like getting misty-eyed. It was just, this whole thing was so good. I'm obsessed. I think for this 22 and 22 vlog, I think I've had 4 5 stars and 2 4-star books. So we're having like a high success rate for this vlog series. So hopefully that continues, because this is just going so well. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me over the last couple of days, and I'm really excited to do this for March. I have no idea what I'm reading, but I think I'm gonna switch it up for a romance, because I have a couple of like mystery thrillers, and I think I'm gonna read that in March. So I have to figure out my game plan, but since I did romances for the first 2 months, I think I'm gonna mix it up. And I think Book of Cold Cases comes out in March, so I think we're going to do mystery thrillers for next month for this vlog, so hopefully that round goes just as well. But I'm hoping to do some filming this week, so hopefully you guys will see some more videos from me super soon, and I will catch y'all in my next one. Bye!